Hello there, you're watching and listening to another Scoutcast from www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. My name's Mark.
My name's Jonty.
My name's Andy.
And my name's Luke.
Good evening, gentlemen. I apologise in advance for any coughing that goes on during this Scoutcast. I will try and be nifty with the mute button, but I am with international man flu, or if you speak to my partner, just a cold. I still call it man flu, particularly deadly. Welcome to the Scoutcast. We had a break last week in true international break style, but we're back with a bang with just 4 days to go. And what an international break it's been, Jonty. Talk about curveballs. They're coming from all directions.
Well, lots of injuries. But no, I haven't really been watching. I think it's because of England. Being an England fan, and when you've got two really boring England games, it kind of just sucks all the life out of an international. I kind of wish I was a Sweden fan or something like that, or even an Ireland fan. But sadly, I'm not. So for me, I've actually found it a bit boring.
Oh yeah, I mean the international breaks. I mean, rest assured, are always a little bit tedious, but well, even more so this time. You're absolutely right. But it's just I wasn't prepared for the injuries. I mean, the injuries they've come quite thick and fast, but not to key players we thought. But today's news as well, news of Aguero back in light training and Mane out for 6 weeks came from nowhere. Yeah. I mean, we've still got a few days to go for people to arrive back and come out as doubts in the next 2 or 3 days. So it's been quite a turbulent one, hasn't it? And it just adds to the season as a whole, which has been full of twists already.
Well, we've also got the Brazil game to come. We are broadcasting before Brazil play and also before Chile, so Sanchez as well. So there's lots and lots of interest, as we're going to discuss later, in a lot of players in that Brazil match. And so lots of people praying that their players will be safe there.
Yeah, and what's key in it, I mean, I've got 2 free transfers to spend. And he's got 2 free transfers to spend. We're both confused. Jonty, you've got your wild card, so you've got even more scope for change. And you must be. You obviously got so many possibilities, but at the same time, every other day it seems the variables are shifting a little bit.
It does a little bit, but although the team I originally had, as soon as I played my wild cards, you've got to keep an eye on the prices. And there's no real double price rises, but it's more keeping an eye on players that you've got that you want to get rid of and making sure they fall after you've got rid of them, and players that you might consider you want to get in before their price rise. So you've got all that navigating, and that involves a lot of kind of getting players. So at the moment, my wildcard team's got loads of players I don't really want in, just to enable the others to come in. But basically, personnel-wise, I had a group of players I wanted to keep, and I had a group of players I wanted shot of, and I had a group of players I really wanted. So it hasn't really changed that much. And it's going to change in the next 2 or 3 days, I think. But on the whole, I've only really got about 3 or 4 slots that are a bit up in the air at the moment. So
okay, well, I'm going to come back to you on this because I'm fascinated to know. Obviously, what you're doing up front is the key position at the moment. It seems probably at the back as well. Andy, you've got 2 free transfers, and I saw you said online. This is almost another one of those support group scoutcasts, isn't it? Where we're all kind of a little bit confused as to what to commit to, and I think we're going to go away after this hour. Perhaps with some new ideas. I mean, what are you feeling at the moment with the 2 free transfers?
Yeah, it's almost like 2 free transfers and no clue, to be honest. I think that third striker spot is what's really is the decision maker. Again, it feels like for the 3rd or 4th time this season already. I have to make a decision there. Either we'll come on to it later, but either you keep Vardy or you go cheaper and you maybe shift formation. I just don't know which is the best way to go right now. And I haven't wildcard, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe I should have. But because of a few of the key injuries, I'm not so bothered about that. But yeah, it all comes down to that third striker spot really, and I'm hoping I'll have some inspiration after this because I'm not sure about Vardy. It feels like a bit of a default pick right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, but we'll talk about him later on as well. I mean, just it's interesting. You didn't play the wild card straight away in the break, so therefore you felt that it's too late. In hindsight, do you now wish you played it, but after the kind of changes that have happened with injuries and so on in today's news?
To be honest, if anything, the injuries have helped me because once Aguero got injured, I already had Jesus in, and he was suddenly the player that everyone wanted. And obviously, when Morata got injured as well, Jesus then became even more of a kind of a default pick almost, unless you're going to go Lacazette. So I'm happy enough I haven't done it. I think I could have done it. I don't know what I'm waiting for, really. I'm kind of waiting, like we were talking about last time, for my team to be in complete tatters, and obviously I'm never going to plan for that. So it's mainly the bench players that I can start to shift around and just make sure I've got an overall better team. But the core 11, as long as I don't get any more major injuries, then I think I'll be fine. If Atsu and Jones turn out to be really injured, then maybe I'll hit it last minute. But I think I'm okay.
And Luke, I mean, how are you feeling at the moment? I mean, we spoke briefly before we went online, and you were talking about the fact you got rid of your City players when they were dropping in value, and now, lo and behold, they're soaring back up there with points and value as well. Are you hatching plans, or has the events of the last 10 days changed your views on things as well?
I like Joe. I've wildcarded as well, so I don't know. It's like these 2 weeks, like Joe was saying, they're just because of the international games. I kind of just switched off. I built my wildcard team, and it's kind of largely just remained completely the same. It has actually got triple City in it at the moment, but I'm wavering on Sterling at the moment due to the Aguero news, obviously. I had to do it. I think my team was a bit all over the place. I had Ali, he wasn't doing much. Ramsey kept promising not to do anything. I had Jesse, who randomly just didn't appear for Stoke, family issue or something. Firmino just not performing, and the main thing for me is I don't have any Man United assets. Didn't have any at all. So every week you've got Jones, getting 10 points. You've got Lukaku getting a goal, and Mickey usually chipping in. So I'm 20 points down before I even start, pretty much every single week. So that's the reason why I played it. Having now played it, I think to myself, do I even want any Man United assets? So,
well,
I'm a bit all over the place as well. And I may try to be too clever by not picking them. I think maybe I might just go with them and just go with the flow, so to speak, but I don't know. Hopefully this will help me decide.
Well, there are some community questions on Manchester United, I believe. Fixture swing is imminent. I mean, this is one of the big reasons why you played the wild card, and you were very definite with it. You got it in straight away, I believe. You activated within 12 hours, didn't you, Jonty? You just got it in there and committed. Is that right?
Yeah, I knew I was going to do it then. So I was just waiting on Saturday. I kind of wanted Saturday's games out of the way, really, just in case, I don't know, it gave me any more thoughts. We didn't really add to anything. I had pretty much players in mind I wanted to get, and there was nothing dependent on, say, Morata, for example, or Aguero. They weren't kind of figuring too much in my plans. So I waited there.
Well, we'll talk about the fixture swings, but let's look back to game week 7, which seems such a long way away now. I'll start. I came bottom, so I might as well start. I can sum up my game week. I mean, it's not having Ben Davies. Basically, that was the difference between me and it's. I tell you what, Ben Davies, I think, had 20% ownership going into game week 7, but in our mods and cons league, it was like 96%. It was like, I think it was me and. Might have been Simon March.
I don't have him.
You don't have him either. There weren't many. There weren't many at all, because I looked at the scores and there was like 3 or 4 people with 50 points, and then everybody else on 65 or more. And it was Ben Davies. It absolutely destroyed me. And I got away with it, didn't I? For 2 weeks, he got 0 when he got rested. He got 1 when he conceded the West Ham. And then he delivered and made up for it.
But it wasn't just Ben Davies, though, because it was from your wild card going for that 3-3-3 formation without that fourth defender. So because this week you had all of those other players scoring. So you had Monreal, you had Bellerin, you had all those Arsenal ones as well. You had Trippier as well. So those that didn't have Davies was just one of many really high scoring defenders. This is why everyone's going defender mad. So I think that was a direct going back to that original wildcard of having basically Jones as your most expensive defender. And I think that this was the week where that decision was really, really exposed, I think.
Yeah, I think I was relying on Mkhitaryan to turn up, really. I mean, that obviously with three big hitters in midfield, it's probably not going to be fashionable in wildcards that are played over the next this period, because I think a lot of people, because of the reacting to the big hitters letting us down, I think the fact that I've got a Spurs mid, a Liverpool mid, and Mkhitaryan, whereas I think a lot of teams will go with just 2 of those 3. I think that's what it was. I fully expected. Obviously, it meant I've got a weaker defence in terms of I've got 4 5s and 5 millions. I haven't got a wing back. I haven't got a Kolasinac. I haven't got a Davies, obviously, or Alonso, because I've got Mkhitaryan. And I expected at home, in that home match against Palace, to get something out of him, and a 4-0 didn't get anything, and he went off after the hour as well. So that was where it went wrong for me as well. I think not having Davies and Mkhitaryan not showing up, because I think anyone who didn't have Mkhitaryan going into the Palace game was expecting him to get at least something out of it, but he got nothing. He got me 1 point. So those 2, I think, were the big factors behind my 49 points. I mean, 2 less than average. It wasn't disastrous, but everybody around me did really well. And and that was how I slipped. I slipped 200,000, so it wasn't absolutely disastrous, but hopefully, I don't know what to. Well, I'll talk about Ben Davies later. It's more difficult now, having missed his 16 points, certainly, than it was 3 weeks ago when I really should have got him in the wild card. That was the one error I definitely admitted to at the time. Don't know why I didn't do it. Okay, who was next? 61 was you, Luke. You captain Kane. Now, that's something I didn't do. I changed my mind Saturday morning, went with the dullard route of going Lukaku, which so many people did. But Kane came in for you, and you got 3 clean sheets. Yeah. Anything else to talk about there?
Not much. Most of them returned 2 and 1 apart from them. But yeah, 3 clean sheets. Hart and Cresswell double up on West Ham defence. Hart's actually done me well the last few weeks, which is surprising. But the fixtures changed. I said the fixtures, were quite key for clean sheets the last time I was on, and it seemed to be the case for West Ham. But yeah, Kane captain had to be done, man. He scored hat-trick just before that. I can't believe anyone wouldn't captain him. It's just the greatest player.
I can't believe. I got to be honest. I can't believe you didn't go for Kane, Mark. You're like his #1 fan on this.
I know. Basically,
if I had both, I would have gone Lukaku. I think I said that, but I didn't. So I had the easy choice. But I can't believe you changed.
I think it was. I was worried that Hart was ruling head a bit. I was kind of like. I edited the Captain Sensible article on Friday night, and I was looking at the data, looking particularly at the XG data, which we've been called out for recently. But the XG data all point to the fact that there's no way Palace were going to put up the kind of stubborn resistance that I thought Huddersfield might do. It hinted to the fact that Huddersfield will probably concede a couple. Palace probably will concede 4 or 5. As it turned out, they both conceded 4, and Lukaku didn't get 2. He really should have done, to be fair. He put one past the post, having done the hard work, and Kane got a goal from 25 yards. So in terms of the goals you'd expect to go in, Lukaku really should have matched Kane, but Kane's form is just ridiculous, and they couldn't handle him, could they?
Kane bangs one from 25 yards every other week, Mark.
Yeah, well, he looked well, apart from at Wembley. Yeah, it's an interesting question now because, obviously Luke's going to get Kane on his wild card. I'm sure Jonty is as well, going to keep him. So Kane does give us an issue now where it's very difficult to overlook him any game week because you've got to think that eventually he'll break that duck at Wembley. And having captain Lukaku because it seemed the sensible thing to do, I paid the price. So, I mean, Andy, obviously Kane's going to be a big issue for you, isn't he, if you're not having him?
Lukaku, you mean?
Lukaku, yeah, sorry. I mean, you're going to captain Kane every week. So presumably, does that mean you're not worried about not having Lukaku? And presumably that's what Jonty's going with as well. If he's not going to get Lukaku, it's probably because he doesn't need to captain him at all.
I wouldn't say I don't have anything to worry about, but I am going to stick to my guns right now because I've got Jesus in there. I think the next 2 games look good for him. I don't think that Man United just stopped scoring against Liverpool and Huddersfield. Sure, it's probably not going to be 4-0 against Liverpool, but I don't think they have the strongest defence anyway. I don't know. I just don't know if Lukaku's going to get a brace hat-trick in those games, and I think Jesus can finally match him if he gets the minutes. Obviously, we've got a bit of a worry that he's played 2 Brazilian games and then there's Champions League the week after. But with Aguero not there, he's surely going to start and play most of the minutes. So I'm quite happy to have Jesus instead of Lukaku. It's kind of fallen kind of nicely for me, I suppose. But he could punish me 60% ownership. I wouldn't say there's nothing to worry about, that's for sure.
I mean, were you comfortable watching that Palace game? I mean, it must have been quite a difficult... He didn't play well, though, did he? I mean, you must have been pretty confident the way it was going, and then he got that tap in, basically. To
be honest, this has happened every week. Like I think it was Aguero the week before. Every Saturday, same thing at that time of the day. I'm watching my little boy play football. Well, he's playing football. I'm on Twitter. And I'm just checking the scores. And I'm thinking, it's 80th minute. Here comes Lukaku's goal and assist. And there it was again. It was Aguero the week before. It's just, you got that. Obviously, I want Man United to win. We'd already won the game. So I really wanted him to blank. But it just didn't happen. And yeah, it's going to happen every week probably. But obviously, it's a bit different now because there's a few injuries. But there's so many strikers that you can't have them all. And yes, I may have made a mistake by getting rid of Lukaku, but for now, I think I can do without. And I'm going to...
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. And I'm sure Jonty's going to say much the same. So you captained Kane, you had Davis as well. Granville got 62. He captained Lukaku, still a good score because, again, he had a Fraser Forster penalty saving goal as well, didn't he? Which is, extraordinary. You get one of those a season, maybe. He's got his very early. And he had Ben Davis. So, I mean, over to you, Jonty, 69... top of the group, apart from Az, who got 77. We'll talk about
got 77.
Yeah, an incredible defence, clean sheet sweep, like you say. Cresswell was a transfer and he came in, didn't he?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, he didn't. He kind of didn't. I actually transferred him in for Nathan Aki, but I wouldn't have played that. Aki got 9 points, if I remember that. His finally came in with the bonus, but I wouldn't have played Aki, so it was irrelevant. I actually would have played Moy. But what I was telling you, this is the first week where I played 4-3-3, and it was one of my highest scores of the season in terms of game week ranks. So, yeah, Captain Lukaku. I thought that Palace would concede a lot, and they did. I just didn't bank on Lukaku not being as involved. And I thought Huddersfield would do. And in fact, Huddersfield, the second half, actually put up quite a good fight against Spurs. It was their first half, really. And then Spurs kind of drifted up, probably because they'd already scored 4 goals. But because I had Davis, don't want Wales attacking me, Davis and Ericsson and Kane, I felt that if Kane was going to get a haul, one of those two is probably going to rack me up some assists. And that did indeed be the case. So, yeah, so I had Ben Mee, Cresswell, Jones, and Davis. So yeah, clean sweep. So first, I think that's the first time I can remember ever having a 4-man defence all coming good. But shows, as we're going to go on to discuss, the power of the defence.
Yeah, I mean, Cresswell was going to be my transfer if I was going to make one, but I just wanted to bank it because of having 2 over the break. I just wanted to do that. I'm kind of glad I did. I lost out on 6 points, but I think having 2 transfers at the moment is probably going to be quite useful. Depends what I do with them, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, that Lukaku, I watched Lukaku in that game, and he didn't look like he was going to get anything, and he got fortunate with the tap in the end, which he was easily set up for him by Martial. But he should have got one before that, where he beat the defence and rolled it past the post. Like I say, could have got 2. He could have matched Kane, but Kane, I don't know. I watched the Spurs game as well, and I thought that was going to end. It could have been 6 or 7 the way it's going, but Spurs did go down the gears and just second half didn't try really. They didn't really look for more goals. That first 20-minute period though was just the 20-minute period in the first half, incredible, and I was really worried. And it's horrible when you've got a player but you don't catch him like Kane. You think, well, I'm kind of pleased he's scoring, but then I'm kind of not, and it's a really not a great situation, and we're going to have that all season, owning Lukaku and Kane, where if you go for one or the other, you're going to be watching them going, well, I've got him, but loads of people are captaining him and I'm not. And it's not a great feeling, but yeah, more of that I expect to come, I imagine. No rough or smooth, but we got an extraordinary story here, haven't we, John?
Yes. So one of our contributors, Stilicho, popped an email over to me. So I've got an article I've been writing, and I didn't know he's been doing this, but apparently he's been trying something out this season. He's been trying a ghost ship team. He's decided, after speaking to his wife, either he gives up FPL or but he's finally come to a compromise of setting a team up and then just leaving it. But what he's done, interestingly, he's gone for a 5 at the back, and really heavy up top. So he's basically gone for Firmino as a third striker, Kane locked in captaincy, Lukaku locked in vice captaincy. So he feels he's always got a good captain. The midfield's absolutely awful. Brady, Milivojevic, Millie guy from Crystal Palace, Zaha, who was injured, still there, Richie as well. And then it's at the back that he's been mopping up. Toby A from Spurs, Kolasinac, Alonso, Davis and Valencia. And then he's gone for a West Brom, Hill Foster combination. Nice and cheap. So the thing is about it is that he's done nothing. He's set that up. He's 26,000 in the world. He's just joined the mods, our moderators and contributors league. So his team will be showing up from this weekend. He'll be top of it. In fact, he'll be top of it by a clear 50,000 places above Uwe, who was runner-up in FPL last season, and as luck would have it, he's about to become runner-up at this stage of the season now. So, but no, we just saw it's really interesting that he's done that. And I just wanted to give a quick mention to a chap that as well that on the same thing called Jody Oates, who emailed in. He was saying that he himself is playing normal kind of focus on midfield, etc. He's 2.6 millionth in the world, so he's absolutely nowhere. His dad, however, has been playing 5-man defence all season, and he is in just on the outskirts of the top 500.
So I'll come to you first, Luke. Is this absolutely demoralising? Do you feel like giving up on the basis? I mean, given that I try and make a living telling people how to make their transfers and stuff. This guy comes along, doesn't make any transfers. It makes us redundant, doesn't it? It makes me redundant anyway. Many people will agree with that. But I mean, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, it can't continue presumably, but we kind of have seen it before. But it's incredible, isn't it?
It is incredible, yeah. Why do we bother? I don't know. We've had loads and loads of clean sheets this season. The top teams just seem to keep them for fun. I mean, they've had some good fixtures, to be fair. But I think I was saying before the Scoutcast, it's a small amount of data that we've got to work with. And there's always lots of peaks and troughs in small amounts of data. I think over the course of the season, the clean sheets will probably level out. They'll probably be a little bit higher than other season just because of the great start we've had. But I like to think that that will stop. You know, these expensive defenders can't get attacking points every week, surely. And then the clean sheets, when the fixtures change, might dry up. And then you're paying like £6 or £7 million for a defender who's getting you 1 or 2 points. That's my hope, because I'm on wildcard and I'm not, going to type as usual. I'm trying to go against it in some way, shape or form. My defence is pretty much dirt cheap. And I'm just hoping that the midfielders come back roaring, the strikers come back roaring. Probably a bad idea, but that's what I'm going to go for.
Yeah, I mean, coming to you, Andy, I remember a few weeks ago we were talking about one of the things that you were stressing was the need to get money out of our defence, because we're going to want those heavy hitters up front and probably in midfield as well. Look at this. This is completely
I know what an idiot I am.
Well, we all, I mean, I shared that opinion, and that was behind my wild card. But I mean, what's your thoughts on this, and also the emphasis on defence at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, there's always someone like this. Like, he'll never be Sharon from last year, who just, I think it was like game week 20 was still right up there. Yeah, I mean, there's always a team like this that does well. I'd always hope that by the end of the season I will beat a team like this. Problem is, it takes sometimes 30 weeks to get ahead. So you spent a lot of time trying to get ahead of a team that's doing nothing. But yeah, I mean, defenders look pretty good. I think there's some really good value defenders out there as well. It's not like they're all priced the same as Alonso that we need to put into our team. Like, Monreal's done really well recently. I still think Ben Davies is the best value defender in the game right now. So defense looks pretty good. Whether I'd switch to 5 at the back, I'm still not keen on that, because I know I always want to switch the top guys in midfield and forwards, and I want to be able to do that easily. I'd maybe try 4 or 5 at the back for the next couple of weeks with a wild card in my back pocket, but I don't think I'd go for it long term. 4 would be the max for me. I know that's kind of starting to make a bit of a comeback, but 5 is too much for me, I think. 5 big defenders. But
it's incredible that Salicho identified the fact that, the best tactic is to go light in midfield and heavy in defence. I mean, going Firmino, Kane and Lukaku at the start of the season, people could have read that, certainly with a big 2, and Firmino was a good third striker for many. So that you can read and you can go, okay, fair enough. But going to Zaha, Richie and Brady in midfield, when last season midfielders and previous seasons they were dominant, that's a call and a half. I mean, what's your take on that, Jonty? And are you influenced by this in any way?
Well, I am slightly, but I mean, it's just a trend that's been spotted by lots anyway. He just happens to be, well above the curve there, well ahead of the curve. But he was saying in his article, basically what he did is he pinpointed basically security of starts, but he also looked at those price brackets, and he just thought with wing backs and particularly defenders within a top team, that he was just going to get more points for his money. And so for a 6 million or 5.5 million wing back, was going to get guaranteed starts and clean sheets and the odd assist and goal, whereas the equivalent in midfield is going to get him the occasional goal, occasional assist, but then they're going to go out of fashion. And we've seen it each time in that price bracket. We've seen the players like last season, Joe Allen, Gundogan, loads of them. They will come and go, and that's and it's the same happening this season. We've got Richie, Choupo-Moting, Richarlison. They're just going to keep coming and going and coming in and out of fashion. Meanwhile, the likes of Alonso and Valencia are just going to play week in, week out, clean sheet, bonus, assist. It makes sense now in hindsight, but he was there at the first.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously one of the factors here, though, is that there's been no Hazard, Sanchez and the Liverpool midfielders, apart from Salah, haven't really been consistent. So I guess that's helped him, because, there's no Sanchez or Hazard at the top of the standings, and they easily still could be at the end of the season, because they're normally up there. And the Spurs mids have done all right, Salah have done all right, but not devastating. And Davis has been exceptional, and Alonso's done okay. I mean, Valencia's been top defender, 6 clean sheets in 7 for United. That's helped him there as well. It's pretty amazing, and whether or not it continues, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to track this, isn't it, and see if we can catch him. I don't know who of us is going to be first to catch him. It'll be very interesting. But yeah, incredible stuff of Salicho, and well done for that. Okay, community questions. Let's look at these. I mean, we're going to start with the United question, aren't we?
Yeah, so loads about this. Lots of people getting itchy fingers about Lukaku and Mkhitaryan. So Rafa the Gapper says, keep or ditch Lukaku. Manager has no name. Is it worth holding on to Manchester United players for their upcoming set of fixtures? I mean, there's so many questions here. Phil Dage, United have Liverpool, Tottenham and Chelsea in the next 4. He's correct there. Time to move on for City and Chelsea assets, he questions. And Team Crawl, are people being hasty getting rid of United attackers, still scoring goals? That's something that is picked up by FPL Freddy as well. He's particularly about Mkhitaryan. He's questioning why people are saying he's out of form. He says second behind Silva for assists, second behind Silva for big chances created, third behind Silva and KDB, chances created. 5 assists, 1 goal in 7 Premier League games. Indeed, he is excellent. Then I look at that and all I can see is behind Silva. So it says to me Silva's better at the moment. But nevertheless, that is, it is wise. Mkhitaryan and Lukaku. Lukaku is scoring for fun still. They're not really doing anything wrong. It's just wise people are looking at the fixture list, or are they stupid people? So just remind people again, Manchester United got Liverpool away, and they've got Huddersfield away. That's quite good. But then they got Tottenham at home, not so good. Chelsea away, absolutely awful. And then back to normal again. They got Newcastle at home, and fixtures start improving. But it's that next 4 people are looking at, and they just looking at the other fixtures. They just think they're going to get more. So yeah, lots of questions on that.
Well, we've got 2 United fans with us, and I think a lot of this is down to our perception that Mourinho against Liverpool, Spurs and Chelsea is going to play differently. So let's go to Luke first and get an opinion on this. Are we expecting, for example, Mourinho to turn up at Liverpool and play the classic rearguard action and try and nick one on the break, which has worked? Is he going to do that, or is it going to be 2-3-0?
It's so hard to judge, isn't it? Because Jose's always done that, and he always has. But I just feel Man United got a little bit more about them this year, and I just feel that he may see them as vulnerable and try to go for them slightly. I like to think that he will. The thing is, I don't think Liverpool could stop them scoring if they wanted to, the way that their defenders play at the moment, especially, set pieces and stuff. I don't know. If I was to guess, I would say it would be like 2-1 United, something like that. But let's be honest, anything can really happen in the game, because with Liverpool, anything can happen in any fixture they play. I think they're just so open. And in terms of Lukaku, I mean, I don't have him, so it's sort of a different question for me, really. But Liverpool, Huddersfield, he could easily score goals in those. He could easily score against Newcastle. And to be fair, Tottenham, Chelsea, who can call that? It's probably going to be really tight, but he could be a 1-0 United Lukaku goal. So for me, I think if you've got him, it kind of makes sense just to stick with him, because the alternatives, can you guarantee they'll outscore him for that small period? And then if you do want him back afterwards, you're basically booking yourself 2 valuable transfers to bank on someone outscoring him over those five games. I mean, if Morata was fit, I'd say he'd probably be a good shout to do it. I'd say Vardy's a possibility, but apart from that, the names start running out, really. I mean, Jesus is another one, but then we've got the Aguero factor. It probably just makes sense to stick with him. And I probably should be picking him on wildcard, but I'm not. Okay,
I mean, what about Mkhitaryan? I mean, I haven't got rid yet, but it's probably going to be one of the 2 transfers I make. Team Call says, are we too hasty getting rid of these players? I mean, Lukaku, I kind of agree with you. I think I'm going to hold Lukaku. But Mkhitaryan's more difficult to justify. For me, he got his assist in the first 4 games, and he was quite fortunate, I think, with some of those, particularly the corner for one of them. But they've created so many chances, and with Lukaku tucking them away, he's always going to tick along, isn't he? Do you think I'm being hasty getting rid of Mkhitaryan?
I don't know, maybe, but the thing is with Jose, his sort of trend is, these are creative, attacking, tricky wingers. He sort of, he falls out of favour with them very quickly. They only have to do one little thing or not do something to his liking, and they start getting subbed early, which has happened to Mkhitaryan quite a lot, I think. His form's dipped a tiny bit. Joe just went through the numbers. It's still pretty good overall, but I mean, I'd be worried that he keeps going off at like 65, 70 minutes. Martial's absolutely on fire. Rashford is as well, really. So, I know they've been swapping, but there's an argument that he could play both of them eventually on either side, I guess. If I was you, I'd probably be looking at possibly taking him out over that sort of bank there, because you've got options in the City team like Silva, Sterling, Sané, who I think could definitely outscore him over the next few weeks. And that's what we've got to do, look at little blocks and think who can outscore the popular options. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be considering taking him out for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Andy, what's your view? The other United fan, you haven't got Lukaku. You spoke about him already. Mkhitaryan, where do you stand on this? I mean, are you worried about United over this run? Do you think that they're going to produce points, or are you quite comfortable going without any attackers?
I think we're going to produce some points. I don't think it's going to be as many as before. I think just to quickly say again, if you've got Lukaku, I don't think you get rid, at least not for the next two. Mkhitaryan, though, I just having a quick look at the stats. I think he created one big chance in the last four, but it's 5 over the season, which means in the first 3 games he created 4, so he created like 4 times as many in less games. I think that also coincided. I can't remember exactly when he got injured, but that coincides almost with Pogba getting injured, which hasn't helped. Also, Fellaini's out. So the thing about that is, I wonder if Mourinho will have to attack a bit more, because one of the things is he sits back, so defends set pieces, defends free kicks with kind of Fellaini, Pogba, Bailly in the middle. He just doesn't have that now. He's going to have to probably play Herrera, who's nowhere near as tall. So I wonder if we might have to attack a little bit more, but he's going to be careful. He doesn't want to lose the games, obviously. No one wants to lose any game, but let alone against the kind of main challenges. So I think if you've got Lukaku, you keep at least for the next 2. I don't see a real good reason to get rid of him. Mkhitaryan, I can see why people are getting cold feet. I am too. I just think Man City just look like they're going to keep scoring 5 goals a game. The next 2 fixtures are really good. So I'm looking at Sané, Silva, or Sterling. I'd take any of them, really. Especially when Aguero's out. Now, if Aguero comes back early, then that really puts cat amongst pigeons, because Sterling and Jesus might miss out then from time to time. But right now, I don't see why you'd want Mkhitaryan over one of those City mids, to be honest.
No, okay. All right, we'll buy that. So coming to you, Jonty, I guess that you're ignoring both of these players. You're Mkhitaryan and Lukaku aren't getting near your wild card. I guess from what you said earlier, it's going to be Sterling and Jesus for you. So do you see Jose playing the way we anticipate?
Well,
those tough matches.
Mike Harborough has done a bit of research for us, one of our community regulars. United away to the other big teams last season. Yes, I know United are a bit different this season, but essentially it does give an insight into what Mourinho's like when he plays big sides away. We know he loves to bring a massive bus with him, and hasn't done him actually that well, but he hasn't brought his strikers with him. Chelsea 4, United 0, Liverpool 0, United 0. Man City 0, United 0. Lots of 0-0s there. That's not good. Arsenal 2, United 0. Spurs 2, United 1. That's 1 goal away against the big sides last season. Doesn't bode well. So I'm looking purely at fixtures. Also, Liverpool, now myself included, have been only too happy to take the mickey out of the Liverpool defence, particularly on this Scoutcast, your mate Terence Trent derby. But at home, Liverpool actually
1 goal, isn't it?
Different beast. Yeah, they've conceded fewer goal attempts than any other team. And they've also conceded just once, so just 1 goal, as you said. So when you compare that to others, so Chelsea since that Burnley game have only conceded once as well. But Burnley are also showing they're vulnerable as well. Now City are playing Burnley in a couple of weeks, so these are the kinds of things we have to look at. Away, Tottenham have conceded twice. They can be broken, but I just don't see a big haul against Tottenham. And then, as I said, you're looking at Man City and you've got Burnley and Stoke. Now, Burnley conceded more shots away from home than any other team, so they've been really lucky not to score an absolute hatful. Only Palace have shipped more shots in the box away from home than Burnley, so this is great news for City attackers. For me, it's all about fixtures. Lukaku, first name out of my team when I wildcarded on Saturday night. I didn't even hesitate. He was out.
What? I mean, you know that there's another turn coming up, and that you'll look at him again. Then maybe
yes,
that's fine. But you're not feeling worried at all about this. I mean,
I'm worried about the Huddersfield game, right. But I feel Liverpool are away. Now Liverpool away is a different beast to them at home. So Kane immediately comes into my thoughts as a captain. Then, as does one of the many Man City lads that will be in my side. So I just feel I'll be keen to go with them over Lukaku. And then I just don't fancy Lukaku at all in the next 2. Game week 12, when he's got Newcastle at home, that's when I want Lukaku back. So at the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, how can I get Lukaku? And on my wild card, and it's something I've spoken about a few times when people ask about wild cards, you had your magic beans. I'm going straight for the cows. I'm going cash cows on my wild card. And I want 2 or 3 players that I'm happy to get rid of in game week 12 who are going to free up 1 or 2 million to switch one of my strikers to Lukaku. So that's what I'm looking at. That's in the back of my mind as well, because I do not want to miss out on Lukaku at home to Newcastle and then that great run of fixtures he's got. But I can do without him now.
I mean, it's quite... you know, looking at the situation now, one scenario, there's two scenarios. There's more than one. There's more than two. There's many, but one scenario could be Lukaku does struggle, and you end up being able to pick him up cheaper, or for 11.5 or whatever. The other scenario is he could do well, and Man City, Aguero comes back early, and Jesus drops in price, and Lukaku keeps scoring, and so anything could happen. But it's so hard to call, isn't it? Because whenever we've tried to predict this, and I've tried it a couple of times, got it wrong, it can happen for you as well. But you've got to go with what's in front of you. And looking at this run of fixtures, you've got to think Jesus or City players should outscore United players.
I just think it's better. And also at the moment, that extra money I can put into midfield and a tiny bit more in defence. Although my defence was okay, but it was more in midfield. So I was never really happy. Richie was good. He's good value. But one thing I noticed when Shelby came back, he was suddenly nicking. Yeah. It was like Voldemort coming in. Poor Richie. He's like Harry Potter. And then Voldemort's coming in, nicking everything off him. And so corners, free kicks. It was like, yes, it's a corner to Newcastle. Shelby, what? Get off. So that for me is the end of Richie. So yeah, as it is for that price range, as you pay for what you get in there, and there's just better value in defence as Silicho has shown us. So yeah, that extra million by dropping Lukaku is quite coming handy. So
we don't cover. Do we cover Man City later on? We do. So let's save that then. Let's go on to Liverpool next. There's questions on this, isn't there, about ditching Liverpool assets. Now, this is before today's events, which revealed that Mane was going to be out for, even Liverpool was saying 6 weeks, so they didn't beat around the bush. So what are we feeling about Liverpool now? Because we just aren't able to settle on them, are we? And Firmino was such a big factor in my wild card. You had him as well. A lot of us invested in him. We've got Salah, of course, who probably is going to stick around, but we've got a lot of questions on Liverpool here as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. So, respect my authority. It goes exactly what you just said there about Firmino. Do you regret Firmino in your wild card? Because he was a key factor in that. Phil Dage, is it wise to sell Liverpool assets? And they have United and Tottenham up next. So, yeah, Delphin's safety brings us straight into today's hot news about Sadio Mane's injury. Looks like he's out for a number of weeks. Does that mean that we don't look at Liverpool's attack, considering his importance? Or does it actually enhance someone's abilities as well? Now, there was a good stat today, hopefully it's on my phone somewhere, that Opta posted today. So Liverpool's average goals with Sadio Mane in the side, 2.2 a match. Yeah. Average without him, 1.6. Massive drop-off. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean that's black and white. And also, I even looked at the 2 matches he missed recently, game weeks 5 and 6. And while they actually did create more chances without Mane, mainly because Coutinho was shooting from range a lot. But it's the quality of their chance. 3.2 big chances with Mane in the team, went down to 1.5 big chances without him. So in terms of the way they were cutting through opponents, no contest. Without Mane, they just weren't creating the quality of chance at all. An Opta stat as well. You look at that, their win ratio without Mane's lower. I mean, it doesn't look good, does it? If they're going to be without him for that period of time. I mean, I was willing to ride it out with Firmino for 2 games. I kind of thought, 2 game weeks, it's probably going to hurt Firmino, and it did. But as soon as Mane comes back, I probably will be all right. Now, I think it does change things, because I just don't see Liverpool being as dangerous without Mane, and it's going to affect players like Firmino even more. And he was already hanging on for me, but now this is kind of, I think, the final straw, sadly. So, I mean, that's my views on it. We'll go to Luke. What's your thoughts on Liverpool? I mean, right now, what Liverpool players have you got, and what are your views going forward for them?
Well, I had Salah, but taking him out for Coutinho just because I love Coutinho. He's one of my favourite players in the league to watch. It's more of a love thing. I do think he's sensational. I think last season he was absolutely sensational. He got injured for a large part of the season. He took a little while to come back from that injury. But aside from that, I think he'd be in the Player of the Year awards. He was absolutely fantastic before that, and he picked up straight away towards the end. He's come back again, and he looks absolutely on fire. I do think he is a £100 million player for Barcelona or whatever. So, he's going to be in my team. But yeah, you can't argue with those numbers there. Mane's a great player as well. He seems to have developed, I think, into more of not only is a quick winger who can finish, but he's also a bit of a playmaker. He holds onto the ball, he darts here or there, he makes things happen. I think he's fantastic. But on the other side, I still think Liverpool with Coutinho and Salah. I mean, Salah's in the box; he's basically their striker. Firmino drops, Salah goes in. I still think they can get you goals, and they have been really good against top teams in the past. That's kind of their strength, isn't it? When teams attack them, their countering ability. Obviously, that's going to be affected with the Mane loss, but Salah's there to do that as well. I still think they can get. I mean, I think they could score maybe a goal against Man United. I think possibly they could score against Tottenham, and then you've got Huddersfield, West Ham, Southampton. I think there's goals all over that. So I'm not too worried about it. But maybe it's just my blind faith in Coutinho that's clouding my judgment there.
No, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, do you think Coutinho's going to get pushed further forward? Because he's a candidate for the left-hand side now in the front three, I would have thought. It's got to be, isn't he?
Well, yeah, quite possibly. I mean, it depends on Sturridge, I guess. I really don't like it when he plays because he just selfishly shoots all the time. It's annoying. I guess it depends whether he plays. I mean, Solanke's knocking on the door as well. I think maybe he'll get a shot. I don't know. I think he'll play up. Yeah, I think he may play a bit further forward because, just like you say, with Mane out, probably switch Salah over to the other side. But who knows? He could swap it. He could play in the middle wherever he plays. He's a great option. He shoots all the time. He's on the free kicks, corners, everything. There's points to Coutinho every week, I think, potentially.
I'm sure if Daniel Sturridge is watching, I know he is a keen listener and watcher. He is screaming at the screen. How can you say that I'm selfish when Coutinho has 10 shots a match? But there you go. That's fair enough. When he scores from 30 yards, I think it's justified. Okay, Jonty, your views on Salah. I mean, well, I'm really interested to know where you're going with the wild card here because presumably, are you missing Liverpool out altogether now? I mean,
well, no, not entirely. A few things I've thinking about. So we've already Mike Harborough's analysis of the way Manchester United set up away from home against big sides. And then you look at them this year. So Manchester United conceded 17 in the box away from home. That's really low. By contrast, Palace, who are the worst, have conceded 51 times. So that's how good they are compared to the absolute worst. But I think that Salah and Coutinho will still get points. But I don't think they're going to get them against Manchester United. But game weeks 5 and 6, Mane was out. Salah racked up 17 points over those two matches. So, I mean, it didn't really hinder him. And Coutinho racked up 15 as well. And of the two, Coutinho, like with Luke, he really does appeal. And that's because he's just on paper in terms of getting points, because he got points in the Newcastle game, which Salah didn't. In goal attempts, he's above Salah for goal attempts. He's double everyone else in terms of chances created. And this is just since he started playing. So game weeks 5, 6 and 7. Where he's lacking is obviously those shots inside the box. But he's had 3 shots on target and Salah's had 5. So Salah's only had 2 more, really. And Coutinho's cheaper. Another thing I did on my wild card, as soon as I saw that Coutinho was, after that Newcastle game, I just got Coutinho in for Salah. I just immediately thought, I don't think I want Salah for those matches. I'm going to lose out on 0.1 or 2. I think I can get Coutinho cheaper. I still don't know. This is the big issue for my wildcard. I don't know whether Coutinho's going to stay. I do want him to, but obviously money is an issue. But of those, I think Coutinho is by far the best option because he's great. And also he absolutely trounces all of his teammates with baseline bonus. So he's baseline bonus, assists, those chances created, goals, and those amazing free kicks. So he's got all 3. Where Salah's really only got the goals. He's getting some assists, but he's your goal man, really. Your shots in the box. And I just think Coutinho's got more about him. He's that little bit cheaper. So when you're wildcarding and you're trying to eke out that extra 0.1, 0.2, Coutinho, I go in for 8.9. And I sold Salah for 9.1. So there's 0.2 save there. As I said, I still don't know whether I'm going to keep him. I'd love to, though. I know Luke will. And maybe I'll just have to. He's there at the moment, so maybe I'll just leave my team.
I mean, I think that's a maverick move for you, actually, because I thought Salah would be the one player that you wouldn't get rid of in the wild card. Andy, what's your views on this? I mean, Salah or Coutinho? I mean, for me, I'm still forgiving of Salah. He misses lots of chances, but for me, he's playing as a striker more or less. His stats say that. Stats-wise, he's like ranked 3rd among strikers even. So for me, I'm still sticking with him. But Coutinho, Joe makes some good points and some good arguments.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. And if I was on a wild card, I might have different thoughts. But in terms of am I worried with Salah, absolutely not. I think every time I watch them play, he's just like Luke said, he's on the last man. He is their striker, almost. Yes, he's not the best finisher, but he gets so many chances that he's going to put the odd 1 or 2 away here and there, and he's done that so far. So I'm pretty happy to have Salah. I'm not looking to get rid of him. In terms of Liverpool assets in general, Firmino is definitely on the chopping block. I think the problem, it looks like Sturridge hasn't got injured yet, so he's taking minutes away from him. Obviously, we saw him not start the last game. He's only made it past 70 minutes like 3 times so far this season. And 2 tricky fixtures up next. Yes, he goes through patches, so maybe they'll do well, but I think I want rid of Firmino.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. And I think before today's news, I was kind of 50-50. Now it's kind of turned me because I just think that they're not going to score as many goals. Then, I'm kind of relying on Liverpool scoring 2 or 3 goals a game, because then Firmino at least tick away with assists when he's not scoring. And also Mane was a big factor in winning penalties, and I thought Firmino might get between 8 and 10 penalties this season. But if you knock Mane out, then that's the big source of fouls in the box. So it's kind of difficult. So I'm getting rid as well. So I mean, with that in mind, let's talk about Jamie Vardy next. We'll come back to City in a minute, Jonty. But there's a question on Vardy. Now, he is the obvious like-for-like replacement for Firmino. So I imagine a lot of people looking at him, and I'm sure you are as well on the wild card. So let's look at some questions here.
Yeah. So McNulty asks, is getting Jamie Vardy short-sighted, as many are getting him in at the expense of Lukaku? I actually think people are getting him at the expense of Firmino, but I see what his point is. Can Vardy bring in those points? And KTK Interesta, with the lack of options in the 7.5, 9.5 price range for forwards, basically it's Firmino and Vardy. And the abundance for the same price in midfield, would it actually make more sense, instead of replacing Firmino with the obvious choice of Vardy, is actually get him a much cheap, like Hemed or someone like that, really cheap striker, and then actually going for that kind of 8.5, 9 million player in midfield. As we've said, there's already a lot. So I personally would like to keep Coutinho. That could be a way of doing it. So he expects all of those midfielders that we've been mentioning to outscore Vardy and Firmino. And he says Sterling in particular would be good. So, I mean, well, for me, he was another name because Firmino was straight out of my wild card in for Vardy. I couldn't see a problem with it. Yes, he's nursing a hip injury, but that looks like he's off this international break to get that right, recuperating, training with the team.
He's off with the missus on a yacht sipping beer, so he's presumably not in recuperation in terms of treatment. It looks good.
He's done well. I don't know what form of exercise he's getting.
Fair enough.
Presumably it's active.
Rest the hip.
That's the way Vardy recuperates. He drinks alcohol to recuperate, remember?
Hardy,
he'll be recuperating, and hopefully he'll come back with a big smile on his face, ready to beat West Brom. So, I mean, a few reasons I got him in. One is he's got 5 goals, he's 8.5 million, and he's got a great set of fixtures. West Brom at home, Swansea away, Everton at home, Stoke away, and then it gets bad going week 12. Coincidentally, when Lukaku's fixtures get good as well. So there's a nice symmetry there. One of the things I looked at was about headed goals, and he's top 5 for headed goal attempts. He's already scored twice with his head, and he faces West Brom next up, who have conceded the most headed goal attempts and among the worst 5 sides in terms of aerial duelling. Not something you would expect.
Yeah, it's crazy.
From a Tony Pulis side. Yeah. They're absolutely rubbish when it comes to duelling players like Jamie Vardy. So many reasons for getting him in, and I like him. Every time I've got him in, he's given me points over the last 2 seasons. So he's definitely my side. He's staying. He's not going.
What's interesting as well, I was looking at the fixtures today and researching that, and that's coming out tomorrow. But Leicester's away games between now and the turn. I say the turning point, as I see it, is game week 21 when the second wild card comes in. Their away fixtures between now and then are the best of any team. And now why that's relevant is because we know Leicester's game, the way they play and the way Vardy plays away from home, very effective on the break, on the counter. Their opponents away from home are excellent. So it is a bit of a swing for Leicester coming up. And he's got 5 goals in the first 7 game weeks, having played 4 very tough opponents. So everything kind of points to him, doesn't it? I'm very different to you. I don't like him as a fantasy asset, I've got to say. But I'm finding it difficult not to go to Vardy with it so convenient from Firmino to Vardy. Come to Luke next. Vardy, you're a Vardy fan, surely, for what he's done to you in the Sky game previously.
Yeah, I've also started with him in FPL, not this season, but the last 2 seasons. Actually, the one before he sort of made a name for himself. I actually had him game week 1 for that as well. So yeah, I really like him as an asset. I think the appeal of him is you just know he's going to play every single week. You know, he's got penalties as far as I know. I know he did miss one recently, but I think there's still a strong chance he's still on those. Coming up to the Christmas period is exactly the kind of player you want. You just know he's going to play regardless. He's going to be getting absolutely smashed on Christmas Day, and he'll turn up Boxing Day and he'll put a performance in. It's not a problem for Vardy. So I think he is a really good, strong option. Thankfully, you know, he is there because Firmino looks so bad. But I don't know. I'm still looking at ways to, you know, how can I upgrade in the future if I need to? So I'm kind of thinking about, you know, personally keeping some money in the bank and just see how he goes over the next 4. But yeah, as an option, I can't argue against him. Penalties nailed on, good fixtures. It all makes sense, doesn't it?
Okay, we're coming to you next, Andy. I know you're wavering low. I mean, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, is it too convenient, Firmino to Vardy?
It is, but I do always try and say, like, sometimes the obvious move is the obvious one for a reason. Like, why not just make it? I've been burnt with Vardy. Can you believe in the last 2 seasons I've never had a goal from Jamie Vardy? Not one goal in my team from him. I just feel like I'm picking him because there is no one else below 10 million to pick. And I just wonder whether now is the time to switch to 2 up front and just get a dud in there and go 3-5-2 and just get one of those City midfielders in and not have to drop Mkhitaryan. Or even go 4-4-2, and go bigger at the back. And I've got a wild card if it all goes wrong. So I don't know. I don't know about Vardy. Like you guys probably already said. I know Luke said it just then. Like, he's going to play every game. They've got no Europe. He's going to be rested every week. He's going to play every game over Christmas. And for the price, he looks good. And he's already scored goals, like you said, against tough teams. So it's hard to say no to him. But I am tempted to give him another miss and miss out on more goals from him, and switch formations maybe. I just wonder, with Morata out, Aguero out, I just wonder if now is an okay time to switch to 2 up front. Maybe not ideal, but it might not be worth. It might be worth the risk potentially right now just to do that.
Yeah, I mean, my answer to that is Morata and Aguero. We don't know how long they're going to be out for. I mean, I'm looking at it going, well, if I go, you know, I'm going to get Mkhitaryan out probably for a City midfielder. And then I'm going to get Vardy in up front, which is probably the 2 moves I'm going to do. I have looked at not keeping Firmino and getting a better defender in, maybe Maguire or Van Dijk. But I think I've got to go with the obvious move. Like Luke says, sometimes it's the right thing to do. So if I do that, then my next move would be if Aguero comes back or Morata comes back, downgrade one of the 3 big midfielders, whether it be Ali, Salah or my City mid, and go 3 big up front. Or you can quickly make the move Vardy to downgrade to a 5-5 like Joselu and upgrade in midfield or at the back. So I think committing to Vardy, it's not like we're shutting the door on what you're talking about there, Andy. I think you can make that adjustment in 2 moves either way. So I think that I'm probably going to go with Vardy just because I don't think it really shuts the door on anything for me. I think I've still got a bit of flexibility by doing that. And I think most teams will have as well. So I can't build an argument against him. I've tried. I have, like you, and I'll go away after this and I'll try and write down reasons not to get Jamie Vardy. But I don't think I can find many. I really don't think I can find many. So it's another player. I know Jonty was straight on him.
Well, here's a question. Here's a question for you then. Who do you think is going to score more over the next couple of weeks, Sterling or Vardy?
Well, they're the 2 players I'm getting.
Okay. Well, if you could get one, then get one.
Well,
because for me, 3-5-2 versus 3-4-3, that would be the option. I have Vardy in 3-4-3. I have Sterling in the 3-5-2. But
the problem is that's short term. I would agree that Sterling would probably outscore him over the next 2 or 3 if he plays. But we can't. You know, after that, Aguero comes back, you've got a problem on your hands. Whereas Vardy just
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Different situations. I've got a wild card, so maybe I can make that short term move.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm wavering a bit more on Vardy. I think if you're on wild card, then you probably do just get him. For now, like you said, I don't think there's any reasons for it. I just think if you have, and to be fair, I think there's probably more people than usual have got that wild card still.
Yeah.
It's at least in like kind of our like knit circle, FPL circle. So I think that is an option, maybe, just to go 3-5-2 and get one of those extra midfielders in.
So that would see you keeping Mkhitaryan. I mean, that would be where you're going differently to everybody else, I guess. Yeah.
And again, a lot of people will see that as a mistake, and I should just get rid of him for a City midfielder and get Vardy, which I could do. But that's the options I'm looking at. For me, like, Vardy's not a straight in, but I'm still sure I'll have him next week. Just see it already. Yeah,
I mean, I'm resigned to it too. I'm not comfortable either, and I'm trying to find ways to not do that. But I can't really. So far, I've not been. And the news today didn't help. You know, like, I was all for like, well, maybe I should keep Firmino, and then I can upgrade one of the defenders, and you know that looks quite. I could play. You know, I do fancy Maguire. I do fancy Van Dijk over the next 3 or 4, and easily I think both of those defenders could keep pace with Vardy, maybe. But I can't now. Firmino, now the Mane injury has dented Firmino even more. I find it very difficult to do that. So. Yeah, it looks like Vardy's going to be in my team too. So it's just the way it goes, isn't it? We shouldn't be regretting this. Maybe, John T, we should be thanking it. I mean, it's so sparse for options, isn't it?
We should be celebrating. This should be National Jamie Vardy Day. There should be street parades. Lots of people fighting and
WKD all round.
Yeah.
Anyone that likes WKD, I can get behind that. Love WKD blue every now and again.
Lots of people staging football matches where they only take a couple of shots but score with both of them.
And hit them very hard down the middle.
Yeah, very hard down the middle. Yeah, loads of penalties straight out the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk Man City. Let's move on to that. We've got some questions on this, and it's a very interesting topic now because we've talked about a lot of their players already, but let's focus on it now.
So, great run. This is what everyone's looking at, the fixture. So I'll just say that, and then we'll go through the questions. So they have Stoke at home and Burnley at home. They have West Brom away, Arsenal at home. That's actually quite a good fixture as well. Then Leicester away. Nice bunch of fixtures. So Mike Harbrow again, he asked not only which one to get in, but given Spurs' home form, they play twice at home rather, kind of Wembley in the next 2. Can we actually captain one of them? Wanyama, my lord, how much City is too much City? Should we be trying to fit in, for example, Sterling, Silva and Jesus? And if we're looking at 3 City assets, which ones to go for? Sanchez, is it risky getting both Jesus and Sterling? Short term, but Aguero could be returning soon, and FPL Freddy again is finger on the pulse as ever with the news of Aguero's return to training. Do the wildcarders feel regretful now? This is me and Luke really in their City selections, considering City's basically a bit up in the air at the moment. Lots of questions on City, and they've got so many assets that we're interested in, and they've got so many good fixtures. So what could possibly go wrong?
Well, I mean, John T, I don't. It's not like no one's going to regret getting City assets in the wildcard. The wildcard's not finished yet. If you want to change your mind, you can. No. But how are you taking today's news about Aguero back in light training? What do you think that means, and how has that affected your view?
With the devil is always in the detail, and you have a look at the detail. By light training, so a lot of people look at that and they imagine him running around kicking a ball, and he's going to be back with the team in a couple of weeks, and him and Fernandinho will be wrestling in the middle of the park. And no, he's back with a physio, light physio with a physio on his own. So this is the first time, because of the pain of having a fractured rib going into him, that he's actually been able to do some physio work. He's nowhere near the stage where he's going to be running around with argy-bargy on the pitch. And he's certainly not going to be this weekend. I'd be very doubtful if it's Burnley as well, considering the amount of people who've been on site saying, "Oh, I had a fractured rib and it took X number." Aguero's not superhuman. He's a good footballer, but he's not got Wolverine from the X-Men type abilities to recharge his bones. So he will be back. I just don't think. I think we're going to get a good couple of weeks out of the other City assets.
So you're looking at, it won't be West Brom away, will it? They're not that silly, are they? He's not going to surely come back for that. So you're looking at Arsenal at home, aren't you? You've got to think, looking at those City fixtures, they're the ones that they're going to target, aren't they?
It's 11 and 12, which is great, really, because around that time as well, we're starting to think that then we're going to have an issue. Wildcarders have an issue, and also those who haven't wildcarded, who kept Lukaku, can have an issue. So everyone's going to keep Kane. Then there's going to be that third striker spot, and then you're going to have Aguero back, with continuing quite good fixtures for City. What do you do with Lukaku? So the Lukaku owners are going to be thinking about having Aguero, but then Lukaku's got great fixtures. It's a minefield on the horizon. But that's then, and then now. So now I'm not worried.
Okay, so
Jesus is in my side.
The only thing about Jesus is, and we were talking about this before you arrived offline, he's away with Brazil. Everyone makes a big thing of Coutinho, Firmino coming back late. Obviously, Jesus will as well. It's not the early kickoff, but it's still Saturday. And they've got Champions League. And he's their only... I mean, the thing is with City is they haven't got Iheanacho anymore. So Pep's got to flog him, hasn't he? He's got to play him against Roma. He's got to play him against Burnley. And he's got to start him against Stoke. So how is he going to manage his minutes? Presumably you're anticipating you're going to lose some minutes, but you're hoping not too many. Is that right?
It's hard to... Well, we're being asked to second guess someone who comes out with very strange... Who knows? De Bruyne or Sterling or Sané could end up as a false nine. Who knows? But you would imagine Jesus will be playing all of those matches and he'll probably be coming off around the 60, 70-minute mark. But as we've seen with Man City, it's a question of when you get those goals. So they'll have a good run of goals at some point in a match. Will it be at the end? Will he miss out on them? Will it be at the beginning? And we'll go off with the match ball at the end of the match with a hat-trick? You don't know. There's so many of them. And for me, I just got Jesus in. He's a kind of... Well, he's a cash cow in a way. He's a holding player for... Morata was the one I really wanted. I think he's by far the best Chelsea attacking asset. I mean, goes without saying, really. And so he allows me to get Morata in, perhaps, at another time. But I just think he's a great asset to have. So he's definitely my City forward.
Okay, and you got Silva as well, but that's it.
I've got Silva.
You're capping it at 2.
And I've got... No. And I've got Coutinho currently, but I'm thinking of Sterling. I'm thinking of all 3.
Go 3.
And the reason is because, slightly following your lead with your wildcard, but also my own experience of wildcards, I'm setting my wildcard up with absolutely no illusion that this is the perfect wildcard that's going to last me for weeks and weeks, and I'll just be out on the yacht somewhere just looking at all the points coming in. It's not going to happen. So I've got to set it up so that I can move players on. So I've got to think, all right, they're not doing well. So going in with 3 City, 3 great fixtures. One of them's going to go, which one? But because of their price, all of them can be downgraded to someone else. And then that money can be used. So, for example, when I need an extra $1 million or $2 million for Lukaku, I could downgrade Sterling or Silva to Richarlison, who, by coincidence, has good fixtures then, or Choupo-Moting. Or Vardy can even go down if I fancied going 3-5-2 or 4-4-2. So this is I can move those players around and that money. And I've just looked at it. Just Sterling, he's a really quite a nice price for wildcarders because you can get him in and you can downgrade him to a bunch of options, some of which are okay, really. And you can also, he's not too far to upgrade as well. So if you wanted to spend a bit more on, say you haven't got a Spurs midfielder and you want to get one of them in, well, it's only about $1.5 million you've got to find from somewhere else. Yeah, I don't know. It's just flexibility, I think.
Okay.
Sterling's your flexible friend.
We'll go to Luke. Jesus, how do you see City playing Jesus over those 3 games? I mean, do you agree with Jonty that Aguero's not back for what, till game week 12, maybe, Arsenal?
Is he in the same light training as Danny Rose? That would be useful.
Well, yeah, giving out the bibs is like training sometimes.
I think Jesus will play. He's what, 20 years old? I think he's 20, isn't he? Something around there. I mean, how can I be worried about his minutes that much? He may come off, like Joe says, last 20 minutes, but I think we get flogged. They haven't really got any other options.
Yeah.
And the thing with City is they seem to start most matches on fire for the first 5 minutes. And if teams manage to hold off, then it can often be a little bit tricky, as in the first 3 weeks that happened. And then the next 3 weeks, they kind of scored fairly soon, I think. And then obviously they just blew teams away. So I think a lot comes down to the early goal with him. As Joe said, is he going to walk away with a hat-trick? The thing is, I always thought he was going to get a lot of goals. And obviously last season it appeared that way. But he seems to drift out of matches quite a lot. So there is that worry about him. How much will he actually produce in those games? The fixtures are great, but Sané, Sterling, Silva, they're all kind of, and KDB can all take the points and the VAPs away from him. So I don't think he's automatically a fantastic pick, to be honest, but the fixtures are there. So, I mean, I'll probably have him. Like Joe says as well, I want Morata, really. He's kind of a placeholder for him. As soon as Morata's fit, it's just an easy swap. And there isn't really that many alternatives up front at this moment. So that's why I go for him. I mean, David Silva looks a no-brainer. 8 million he started off, same as Mkhitaryan. He's basically a better version of Mkhitaryan, so to speak. I mean, he's the second highest scoring midfielder in the game, and he hasn't scored a goal. That tells you everything about midfielders this season, I think, so far. He looks like a great option, but you can look at it 2 ways, really. Is he going to start suddenly scoring? you know, he's never really been much of a goal scorer, but if he starts adding 1 or 2 here or there, his points are going to go through the roof, surely, the way he's accumulating BAPs and assists. So I think Silva's are pretty much a given. I think Sterling's great for a wild card punt. As soon as Aguero comes back, there's all sorts of issues there. So yeah, let's just hope he's in Danny Rose like training and he stays for a little while. And then there's also Pogba is 8 million. So for me, Sterling 7.9, Pogba 8 million. I don't know when Pogba's due back, but I'm hoping that kind of coincides a little bit later on, because Pogba was, you know, the real deal before he got injured. So I think he's a good option to sort of replace him with.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, it's interesting what you say about Sterling, but I think it's more of a factor on Jesus Aguero coming back than it is Sterling. We see, I mean, Jesus was the one benched, and Sterling started the last 4 that he's been available for. So at the moment, as long as Sterling keeps scoring, he'll be all right, I think. But I don't know, it's difficult to call. I mean, my view is Sterling's coming in for a couple of weeks, much the same as Jonty said there. You're looking at a City asset for short term, and then seeing what happens when Aguero comes back. And by then, it's all going to change, perhaps, because Morata, Hazard, who knows, Sanchez might even, we haven't even mentioned Sanchez, might even tempt a few. Andy, your views on City, where are you going? Are you going more than one for the start? Are you just sticking with Jesus, or are you going to invest in midfield as well?
I think I'm going to go more than one. I mean, here's some confirmation bias for you for Jesus. I would argue that he's going to get minutes, and like maybe 70 to 80 minutes, because he's already had plenty of rest. He's been coming off at 60 minutes. Like Luke said, he's a young kid. Surely he's got enough in the tank now that Aguero's out to play those minutes he wasn't before. So that's my thinking along with him. Obviously, I'm not going to get rid of him. I've got him. He looks good. I do want a second attacker. A lot, but it comes down to whether I want to get rid of Vardy or Mkhitaryan, and I think I could do either, or not get Vardy, sorry. I don't know which one I want, though. Silva looks the obvious one, so straight away I'm not looking at him. I like Sané. I don't think we've mentioned yet. Yeah, I really like Salah. I had him in last year. He did well for me for a little bit. I just when I watch him, Sterling is. I can't argue against Sterling. He scored 5 goals. Just always looks still when he goes forward. Just that he's not quite got it. I think if I had him, I'd be frustrated. But Sané, I think is the real deal when he plays. But he's more expensive, which is a bit of a turn off. But yeah, I'm basically looking at getting a midfielder. I just don't have a clue which one. I think going for 2 like on wildcard Johnny is a pretty decent idea, to be honest. But I like Sané.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Jonty's tactic there, you can't really go wrong. I mean, it is a big advantage of playing the wildcard now ahead of these 2 home games, because you kind of think on paper that's got to work out. I mean, it might not. It's City and it's Pep, but I mean, one of those 3, you think Jesus, Silva, Sterling, one of those 3 will get a double figure haul in at least one of those matches, and if it's spread about, you've got 3 of them, so it should work out. But you know, it's Pep and City. You know, who knows? Burnley could turn up and put a resistance on again. It's so difficult. It would be just like this season to frustrate us like that. Me, I'm just going Sterling. Probably it'll be Sterling and Vardy, and I hope that Sterling keeps scoring. And then when Aguero comes back, like you say, I think it'll be in 2 or 3 weeks. I'll have a look at it then, and it might be Sterling to Richarlison, because Richarlison looks great and his fixtures are great from that point on as well. So luckily we've got some good budget options in midfield, which is nice to have, because there's nothing up front at the moment in my view. We've got a quick section on Magic Beans, best enablers and cheap players. You threw this in here, Jonty. Let's touch on this before we do the weekend preview. What are you getting at here?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously reference to some of the Magic Beans you got, but one player that you have been mentioning is Charlie Daniels. You've been saying Charlie Daniels, good fixtures come up. So Mayo is all over that as well. Are the likes of Bournemouth, he mentions Everton as well, but I think on present form, we'll just ignore them for a little while. Is Bournemouth worth considering on a wild card? Because they look to have turned the corner. Yes, indeed, they had some good performances. And so he's mentioned Daniels, Stanislas, King, Keane. King's at Everton. Sorry, King and Stanislas and Daniels there. And Ardam Jan asks about best 4.5 midfield options. I think I know who you'll be talking about there, Mark. But I mean, I've spoken about these 4.5 midfield options. They're all really horrible and rubbish before, and so I've just had a look at Rate My Team, because you've got to get 1 or 2 of them in. I mean, just through the value of everyone else, and I look at Rate My Team, and basically in terms of that kind of price range below 5 million, it's worth spending a tiny bit more on a player like, say, for example, Cedric at Southampton, with those high clean sheet potential over the next 4 or 5. And also by default, I would say other Southampton defenders and the Swansea defenders of 4.5. I think you're going to get more for those. But if you've got to get midfielders like that, probably not going to play him. I think it's still the same old suspects. Got Carroll, 4.5. He's really still getting his 2 points every match. Still not getting any attacking points. Millie, I'm trying to pronounce it.
Milivojevic.
Milivojevic. Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, well, he's 4.6 now, which is annoying. But he's on penalties for Crystal Palace, if we think they'll ever get one.
Yeah, well,
and then you really are straight in the barrel. Then you're down to like Stevens at Brighton. So you're looking at 2 points, really, basically. So these are the guys you don't want to be playing. I can't say. But with Bournemouth, yes. Charlie Daniels, I would say, is the one. He's created same number of chances as Defoe and King. So he's putting in that kind of shift there, attacking-wise as well. He's had a huge amount of crosses. Can't believe it. 35 crosses.
Yeah, he's coming in for me for sure. As soon as Bournemouth's fixtures change, he's coming in for me. Player I love, and I just think that in a season where defenders are delivering, Daniels is going to have his time. He's going to get a couple of double-figure hauls this season where he's had a goal already. What a goal it was. It's just unfortunate it was in a beating to Man City, but he'll do that against weaker opponents and get a clean sheet. So yeah, Daniels is a no-brainer for me. 4-5 midfielders. Ruben's going to save us all. I don't know why we're worried about it. Just relax. Just chill out. Palace will score their first goal in game week 17 and they'll be fine. So it's all good. Any views on the budget enablers, Andy? I mean, it's sparse, isn't it, really? I mean, it's not a good season for these players, is it?
Yeah, I don't really have too many different options. And I mean, Stanislas is on the list there. Maybe if we see something from him, he's been a favourite for periods in the last couple of seasons. I think Bournemouth, I'm waiting until kind of game week 11 or 12 before I get him in. So yeah, Charlie Daniels, I had him earlier in the season, had him for that goal at City actually, but then got rid of him. But 4.9 million, I'd be pretty tempted to get him back on a wild card later on. Otherwise, who else is that? Richarlison, I think you could say I think he's classed as budget option. I like him. It's just the next two fixtures put me off. He was potentially going to be my Morata enabler, and that obviously all went to pot now. So yeah, I'm looking at him in a couple of weeks. But otherwise, if I was wildcard, I'd have Loftus-Cheek probably as my 4.5. But there's just no one else really sticking out. I think they're not really enablers. They're on the list for fixture turn. They got like King maybe at Bournemouth as well. But I want to see more for that price. I don't think he's an enabler, is he? Really at 7.5? No. He's like around Rashford kind of price. So yeah, it's horrible, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think the enablers this year are the Richarlison and Choupo-Moting as third or fourth midfielders. We're not going to get a Josh King coming in.
I've still got Atsu.
No, I mean, Atsu's okay. I mean, you get what you pay for. I mean, Richie looked good 3 weeks ago until Shelby's come back, like Jonty says, and now it's like now Richie is probably going to perform at the level you'd expect for a 6 million midfielder. I think before Shelby came back, Richie was going to be delivering probably around a 7.5 mid, I would say, with the set pieces and pens. Now perhaps his appeal is lessened. Well, it is, but I think Richarlison's a gift. I think he really is. Stats wise, strong. Choupo-Moting, I'm less convinced about, but the fixtures are good for him. So those two they're not budget enablers perhaps, but they're mid-price players that I think are performing well enough where we can consider them. And then it's funds at the back and in attack maybe. Luke, any views on these players? I mean, it's a difficult season for value, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. It's all at the back, isn't it, at the moment? I think I'm going to have Richarlison and Motig, can't say his first name, just in the wild card, probably just to afford a heavy front three, or at least keep money in the bank for a Vardy to Morata upgrade or something like that. Just because, yeah, they look really strong. I mean, Stoke's fixtures are so good that after next week's one against City, that I just think for that price you've got to kind of take a punt on him. I'm not expecting much, but if you can get me a couple of goals or an assist at that price, there's no time like those fixtures. Basically, he's got to do something surely. So I think he's kind of a bit of a no-brainer, really. But in terms of Bournemouth, I really like them. I love Eddie Howe. I think they've just gone through a bad patch. I think they've got really good players in their team all over the place. And I just think it's the whole adapting to Defoe. It's not kind of worked. Afobe was kind of like, I said it before in a previous guy, kind of like the blocker. He's the guy who kind of distracts people. And, it worked with Josh King and everyone else running in and doing the business. And they've kind of messed with that. So I wonder if they'll either work on that partnership or they'll bring Afobe back or whatnot. But I will be looking at them further down the line. And it just so happens Southampton, so someone like Cedric, I think Joe's interested in him, I've seen on Twitter. They've got some good games. And then it kind of goes bad when it goes to Liverpool, and you've got Bournemouth when they just start around the same time to go on a good fixture, and obviously the same price as Cedric. So going Cedric and then switching him to Daniels is probably a good option. But yeah, Enablers 4.5. I'll have Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well because he's playing number 10. I know they can't score a goal for love nor money, but he's playing number 10. How often do you have a 4.5 player number 10? He's surely got to do something eventually.
But he's going to have to do it on his own, I think, until well, I say until Wendeke's back, but he's not much use either, is he? So I feel sorry for Ruben, but I'm keeping him for sure. Okay, let's do the weekend preview, Jonty, shall we?
Yeah, so we're looking at fancy iris and clean sheets. I don't know who wants to go first. Shall we say Luke? Want to go for a clean sheet first?
I'll just do mine together because it's basically the same player. So
okay.
Virgil van Dijk and the Southampton clean sheet. Newcastle have scored once away from home, and that was against Swansea, I think. So I know they're kind of quite attacking, maybe a bit unlucky, but 1 goal away. Southampton, Virgil van Dijk back. He's got goals in him. Every game he plays, he's such a beast. So yeah, that's what I pick.
I think that's a great pick. I mean, he won more headers than any other player last week. He gave away the penalty. He had 3 shots on goal though, and
it's 5.4.
And Southampton number corners. I think they ranked 3rd for the corners one. So yeah, I mean, any other season we'd be talking about Van Dijk going, because I remember Jonty, you had him last year, didn't you? And I said that he's the Rolls Royce. That's the Southampton defender to own. If you're going to own one, get him. We're not saying it this year because of that 0-4 difference, but I wonder whether, it won't take long if he gets a goal in the next couple of weeks. I'll be looking at Cedric to Van Dijk as well, I think.
And the other factor there is they don't really score goals, so he's going to, if they do keep a clean sheet, he's probably going to be in the frame for Baps every week. So yeah,
dominant, good choice, I think. Okay, should we go Andy next, Jonty?
Yeah, Andy, what clean sheet? Go for it.
I take Spurs against Bournemouth. I think that is another Ben Davis double haul waiting to happen. That clean sheet for sure, and then Bournemouth not great at the back. So that's my clean sheet, Spurs.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Can we, Jonty? Really, I think that's 2 obvious ones gone. Who are you going for?
Oh, I'm going to go for the other obvious one, Chelsea against Palace. Palace are rubbish and can't score and haven't scored, and maybe we'll never score. So
it's hard to see whether. I mean, they haven't got Kante, perhaps Chelsea, so a glimmer of hope. But where's the goal going to come from? I mean, they haven't even got Loftus-Cheek in that game, or Benteke. Zaha's not going to be fit.
The only way they're going to score a goal is going to be an own goal. That's the only way Palace are going to score a goal.
I mean, the thing is, I looked at expected goals, and according to that, they should have 6 goals by now, or 7 even. So they've had chances, but they just can't finish. And there's one man responsible for that, isn't there? And he's not even about now. So I don't know. Difficult one. Okay, I'm gonna say my fantasy island risk and my clean sheet in the same game because, like Luke, I'm going for the same one. I'm going Brighton at home to Everton. I think Brighton are going to keep a clean sheet. I just think Houghton at home. I mean, he'll play a game where it's set up to defend and not lose, and they might nick one again. And I'm going Solly March as my fantasy island risk. I've been watching him, and he's top for Brighton for shots. He was a big player for you last year. I mean, you're no doubt endorsed this, Jonty. And I think he 5 million. It's a shame he's not 4 or 5 because he would have been lovely, wouldn't he? But I think he might be the key player against Everton. Everton in such poor form, Koeman in trouble. So that's what I'm going for: Brighton clean sheet, and my Solly March fantasy island risk.
Yeah, Solly March. He's such a huge fan's favourite because he's local, and so he's. Yeah, a lot of people like that. But as you said, his price is really annoying. It's that 5 million. So you kind of don't want to be playing him each week. But you kind of want 4.5 if he's going to be on your bench. He's good, though. Yeah, I mean, if I was going to get a Brighton player, it'd be him over Gross, I think, definitely.
Okay. So who's got left on the fancy island risk? Andy, who are you going for?
I'm going to go for Charlie Austin. And that is a big risk because the chances are he doesn't play, of course. Shane Long has played the last couple, I think, and he's potentially got an injury, although it could be an international break injury. So I'm gonna put. Basically, this is I really want Charlie Austin to play. If I pick him as fantasy island race, maybe he'll start because I love Charlie Austin. I think, given how lacking the Southampton are in the goals department, I can't believe he hasn't had a start yet. So with Shane Long potentially out injured, Gabbiadini rubbish, I'm hoping that Charlie Austin finally gets his start.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? That would be great. Charlie Austin scoring goals for us at that price.
I actually said pre-season if we knew he was going to play, he'd almost be the first person on my team sheet at that price. I think he's going to score goals. Like, he's not the best player in the world, but when he plays, scores goals. Simple
Just
as
needs
that.
one chance. John, who are you going for? Nate, another favourite of ours, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's actually in that Brighton game, but it's an Everton player. So last time I went for Shaqiri because he appeared on both the goals and assists imminent tables, and when they appear on both, that tends to mean something's going. And he did indeed get some points. Sigurdsson is back on the goals and the assists imminent table. I mean, have they been lucky? Unlucky not to score more. The fact is, he's there. He's had 10 goal attempts in the last 4. And he's created 12 chances in the last 4, and he hasn't had much to show for it. I just think this is the nature of the Fantasy Island risk. You've got to go for it. It is a risk. I do actually endorse the fact that Brighton are very good defensively at home. That's why Sigurdsson, I think, is a big risk this week. But I think this could be the week he finally scores.
Could break your heart. Could break your Seagull's heart. But okay, fair enough. Transfers and captains. Do this quickly. I'll go first. It's going to be Kane captain. I'm not going to make that mistake again. And transfers are probably going to be Mickey to Sterling and Firmino to Vardy, which feels very scripted, very template, very dullard, but I am struggling to put an argument together. So that's mine. Andy, captains and transfers.
I'll probably do the same transfers as you, to be honest. I just can't see me dropping Salah or Eriksen, just looking at my team now. Potentially, I will get rid of Vardy for a dud and go 4-4-2, 3-5-2. But it just seems unlikely. I'll be keeping Mkhitaryan, and I don't think I need to keep him right now. So I'll probably do the same chance as you. I might not pick Sterling, I might pick Salah instead. And I want to captain Jesus, but I'll captain Kane because Kane scores goals.
And Luke?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm on wildcards, so no transfers, but Kane will be captain. Just need to decide whether I'm going triple City attack again because that worked so famously for me last time.
Yeah, well, I'll put a curse on it for Jonty, so Jonty's not going to want you to do that. Jonty, where are you going with captain? I presume it's Kane as well, is it?
Yeah, it has to be Kane. A lot of people talk about, we can't score at home in the league, but he has scored at Wembley a few times, and you've got to look at the opposition against a team like Bournemouth. Bournemouth don't really do defence in these types of games. I just think it's going to be 1, 2, maybe 3 goals for Kane.
Yeah, I just... every game he goes into, you kind of think he's got a hat-trick in him. I've never, even Aguero in his pomp, I don't think I felt as confident about. This is a man who didn't captain him last week, and I really regret it. But I just, at the moment, it's just untouchable, I think. So I've got to go there as well. I think so many people, I think it's going to be very interesting. The gap is closing on Lukaku in terms of ownership, and it will start closing in terms of faith for the captaincy as well. But we've seen so many times this season, everything can turn so quickly. This has been a very unexpected 7 game weeks, and only today things have twisted again. We'll see by Friday whether it happens again, and we're back next week to discuss game week 8 and the repercussions. We've got 2 wildcards active, so it'll be fascinating to see how they go head to head and see if they had a big impact or whether it's going to be a long-term wildcard. We'll see. And then, Andy, when you're going to play yours, that's what I want to know. I mean, it's burning away there, burning away. Are you worried about it?
No, don't think so. I mean, if Jonty and Luke really batter me this week, then I will probably regret it. But I don't know, I've got another international break coming up, and we've just spoken about all the fixtures that are about to turn on game week 11 or 12. So there's another chance to use it then, and hopefully we'll have more info about Aguero and Morata at that point. Yeah. So I'm happy now. I think Aguero getting injured and already having Jesus really helped me this week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm actually glad to get it out of the way, John T. So it kind of just plays on your mind when you've got it, and it's like, well, now it's done. There's a bit of relief, and you can start taking hits if you need to.
I mean, even though you don't change it, it's the monitoring of prices that's a bit annoying. You've got to see who's going up and down. So, for example, Richarlison's going up tonight. Now, I know I don't want him the next 2, but then that is frustrating because I know I'll probably want him eventually. So I know he's going up in price. But yeah, as I said, there's a few issues. Coutinho's there currently and looking at Sterling instead. But Silva and Jesus are, nailed in unless there's an injury.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. It's going to be fascinating. We'll join us next week. Maybe Granville will turn up, the great wild card critique.
Yeah.
So hopefully for your sake and for Luke, he doesn't turn up for that one because he does love picking apart a wild card, as I saw only a few weeks ago. Okay, it's a good night from me.
Good night from me.
Good night.
Good night from me.
Good night, all.